Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran and we have a couple more updates for World of Warcraft, primarily when dealing with patch 8.2.5. No, this isn't a very exciting update because we haven't had the juiciest stuff like any of the class changes or anything new coming for World of Warcraft. It looks like Blizzard is saving majority of some of the biggest stuff or a potential patch 8.3, if there is gonna be one, for BlizzCon. So we won't hear anything until about November it looks like, but we still got a couple new updates. Yes, it does seem that maybe Blizzard could be potentially trying to wrap up BFA way before we know it. We'll get into that in just a second. Let's get into the updates. So the first thing we have for patch 8.2.5 is the splash art with the what's new on it. What is new on the way for this new patch 8.2.5? And we have a couple of different things we could see from here. On the left top side, we have Party Sync, which is going to be a new questing system that I definitely want to try out. It's going to be a way for you to level with your friends despite their level, allowing you to scale your character down to your friend's level. I feel like this will be a great tool if you're trying to level some characters on the side, and you'll be able to Party Sync, squish yourself down to your friend's level, and level two characters together without losing progress, and being able to play together with your friends, unless your friends are all playing Classic, as most are. At the bottom left side, we have updated character models for the goblins as well as the worgen. We have taken a look at those on this channel before, so very excited to see how those are going to look like once they come out with live, because there were a couple bugs here and there, and hopefully they'll come out bug free. Taking a look at what's taken up most of the screen, almost about a half the screen, is the war campaign on the right. Lead the charge in thrilling conclusion to the war campaign. Now, we are getting a conclusion to the war campaign, but what could that mean? Talk about it in just a bit, but that already is a bit of a setup of what patch 8.2 might have. So whatever ideas you're getting, hold it for a second. I'll come back to the point in just a moment. They're also adding a button in your map whenever you're trying to figure out where the quest ends at with show final destination. This is particularly useful if, let's say, your character has done a couple islands and you've collected a couple doodads, which you can turn in for a quest to reward you with some Azeroth power as well as gold. And you usually have to search the map for a moment to figure out exactly where it takes you. So now at the top right, you should be able to see final destination or where to turn in this quest, if in case it has to go into some other place on the map besides some of the zones of Battle for Azeroth. So I guess it's a nice useful addition. Maybe it's something that people have used in add-ons before, but definitely a welcome addition for 8.2.5. Then we have, for the last bit of update, huge encrypted cinematics for patch 8.2.5 PTR. So the cinematics themselves are not live yet, and I want to react to them as soon as they are up. But apparently 2 cinematics are being added for 8.2.5. First of all, some people said that the cinematics length does seem similar to a couple of older cinematics like Lost Honor and Old Soldier, so maybe Blizzard is simply adding those cinematics into the game. Some have suggested, however, if Blizzard is adding Lost Honor and Old Soldier, and while the cinematics do feel like they're pretty close to the duration, they're not quite perfect, they are a little bit off. They're in a ballpark of 3 minutes, 6 minutes, but the seconds are off. If Blizzard were to add those 2 cinematics into the in-game files, they might as well add the third one, which is a conclusion to the story of the cinematics and the chronological order of Safe Haven, the one with Thrall. So people have suggested that maybe these are 2 new cinematics with huge amounts of information for patch 8.2.5, primarily the cinematics for maybe an ending to a patch 8.2.5, or maybe even the end of Battle for Azeroth. There's a lot of speculations, and of course a lot of people are also putting information from some of the leaks that we've had recently, like the Shadowlands leak that talked about a ending, and I guess it's going to be spoilery here, but it's a leak, so it doesn't really tell us anything. It could be a real leak, it could be a fake leak, it could be a real bit of content, or just wishful thinking by someone who really imagines the BFA to end in such a way. But maybe it could be a couple cinematics, one to set you up for, let's say, patch 8.3, which would be the invasion of Stormwind, if Stormwind were to be a raid in one of the leaks. And the last one would be the conclusion, where all the characters are actually end up dead and end up in Shadowlands. But it's really up to anyone's guess what these cinematics potentially could be. I'm just very excited about what we're gonna get very, very soon out of Blizzard. Again, it's gonna be most likely happening around BlizzCon, so good chance we're not gonna hear anything about it anytime soon. Now for the question, could they potentially be trying to scrap BFA, get it over with as soon as possible, and maybe take it into a new expansion? I thought about this for a while, so here are my two theories of one for this idea and the other against it. The idea for scrapping BFA would be, okay, the community played it, they tried it, and we're really getting a Warlords of General vibes. It's just not that good. At least at the very beginning of BFA, a lot of people found it lacking, especially coming off of the heels of Legion. And even with all the changes, maybe it might be a good idea just to transition into the new thing, get the brand new patch, brand new expansion, brand new ideas, and maybe Blizzard has been simply adding a couple band-aids here and there for Battle for Azeroth while working on the real thing, very similar to what we saw people do exactly the same thing back in WoD. We just had no content. Patch 6.1 was a patch with a selfie camera for it, so obviously the rest of the guys over at Blizzard were working on the real expansion in the background of Legion. So maybe Battle for Azeroth is coming to a conclusion soon. Maybe the war campaign is the big piece of content, big storyline that they're trying to end and continue us into the new expansion. So you can think of BFA as basically a really long pre-patch to the real expansion. However, I do want to give a different side of the coin arguments for continuing BFA and why Blizzard isn't done with it. Let's first talk about the content. Back in Legion, we had Karazhan and eventually got split into Upper Kara and Lower Kara for dungeons. We just got Mechagon and it has so much potential for Mythic Plus, and Blizzard hasn't split it yet. Unless they're adding Mechagon just to be this Mythic Zero dungeon, never to be introduced into Mythic Plus rotation, then it feels like a missed opportunity. Then we also haven't had too many raids. We've had the Gahun raid, we had Battle for Dazara Lore, the Eternal Palace, and it would make sense to finish off with maybe fourth and final raid, very similar to what Legion did. I know I'm missing out on COS, but that is a small 2-boss raid, very similar to what Legion had. Legion had a small raid as well, kind of like something to do in between with HOV. So it is kind of following the same pattern. Then we also have the Essence system, which was just added. Yes, the Essence system was originally treated as a band-aid in order to help fix classes in a more generalized way, instead of fixing classes on an individual scale, but still the Essence system ends up actually doing quite a lot for us when it comes to the gameplay design of our classes. It actually allows classes bad at AoE to pick up the laser beam and start blasting AoE damage in dungeons and actually being kind of viable. Same thing for classes that want single target damage with the Rock Boy or any other essences that we added. They are fresh, they are new, they even have a cosmetic side of it all. So it just doesn't make sense to just introduce all this and then just abandon it almost immediately. And there's probably more examples to come up with, but it's 3 in the morning as of recording this video, and my brain is pretty dry. So I can't really come up with more, but you guys are more than welcome to fill in the blanks in the comments down below. Either way, I don't think we're done with BFA, but we definitely could be. I could see Blizzard go through a very radical idea of just, you know what, hey, let's just scrap this BFA idea, let's just move on to the greener pastures early, just take us into the new expansion, into the new adventure ASAP, and just move on from this mess that was BFA, the launch, as well as the patches, and the, I guess, the shakiness that it came with. I'm gonna pass off the rest to you guys. What do you think in the comments below? Feel free to write your thoughts. I would like to hear what you guys think about a potential idea that BFA could be scrapped for us to enter a brand new expansion. I think personally it would be kind of interesting and maybe even a viable idea, maybe a viable direction where Blizzard is going to go. You guys let me know in the comments below what your thoughts. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see all of you in the next one.